150 years ago, the business corporation was a relatively insignificant institution. Today, it is all-pervasive. Like the church, the monarchy, and the Communist Party in other times and places, the corporation is today's dominant institution. This documentary examines the nature, evolution, impacts, and possible futures of the modern business corporation.
What is a corporation?
It is, under the law, a legal person.
These are a special kind of persons who have no moral conscience, designed by law to be concerned only for their stockholders.
I just can't be personally responsible.
Maybe you better incorporate.
There are companies that make our lives better, and that's a good thing. The problem comes in the profit motivation.
Liz Claiborne jackets, $178, and the workers were paid 74 cents. Nike assigns a time frame, 6.6 minutes to make the shirt. That means the wages come to 0.3% of the retail price.
Of course they make a profit, and it's a good thing.
In our search for wealth and for prosperity, we created something that's going to destroy us.
I never gave a thought to what we were taking from the earth. I didn't have an environmental vision.
In devastation, there is opportunity. When the September 11th situation happened, the first thing you thought about was, well, how much is gold up?
You can manipulate consumers. Is it ethical? I don't know. But our role is to move products.
It's always going to be there, so you may as well have faith in it.
There are those who intend that one day everything will be owned by somebody.
Within less than 10 years, a handful of global companies will own directly or through license the actual genes that make up the evolution of our species.
I said, you know, this is news. This is stuff people need to know. And he said, we just paid $3 billion for these television stations. The news is what we say it is.
Capitalism today commands the towering heights and has displaced politics and politicians as the new high priests and reigning oligarchs of our system.
Does there need to be some measure of accountability? Yes. And I think the business community recognizes that.
I still happen to think the United States is the greatest place in the world to invest. We have some shakeups that are going on because of a few bad apples.
Some people call me a bad apple. Well, I may be bruised, but I still taste sweet. Some people call me a bad apple, but I may be the sweetest apple on the tree.
These are not just a bunch of bad apples.
This is just a few bad apples.
It's not just a few bad apples.
We've got to get rid of the bad apples. You can start with Tyco.
Bad apples.
We know all about WorldCom.
Bad apples.
Xerox Corporation.
Bad apples.
Arthur Anderson.
Bad apples.
Enron, obviously.
Bad apples.
Kmart Corporation.
The fruit cart is getting a little more full.
I don't think it's just a few apples, unfortunately. I think this is the worst crisis of confidence in business.
What's wrong with this picture? Can't we pick a better metaphor to describe the dominant institution of our time? Through the voices of CEOs, whistleblowers, brokers, gurus and spies, insiders and outsiders, we present the corporation as a paradox, an institution that creates great wealth but causes enormous and often hidden harms.
I gotta be honest with you. When the September 11th situation happened, I didn't know that. And I must say, and I wanna say this because I wanna take it lightly. It's not a light situation. It's a devastating act. It was really a bad thing. It was one of the worst things I've seen in my lifetime, you know. But I will tell you, and every trader will tell you, who was not in that building, and who was buying gold and who owned gold and silver, that when it happened, the first thing you thought about was, well, how much is gold up?
I said to my wife, you know, we both are, you know, sons and daughters of auto workers in Flint, Michigan. There isn't a single one of us back in Flint, any of us, including us, who ever stopped to think, This thing we do for a living, the building of automobiles, is probably the single biggest reason why the polar ice caps are going to melt and end civilization as we know it. There's no connect between I'm just an assembler on an assembly line building a car, which is good for people in society. It moves them around. But never stop to think about the larger picture and the larger responsibility of what we're doing. Ultimately, we have to, as individuals, accept responsibility for our collective action.
One day, early in this journey, it dawned on me that the way I've been running Interface is the way of the plunderer. Plundering something that's not mine, something that belongs to every creature on earth. And I said to myself, my goodness, the day must come when this is illegal, that when plundering is not allowed. I mean, it must come. So I said to myself, my goodness, someday people like me will end up in jail.
We asked parents to keep a diary for 3 weeks and to record every time, you could imagine, every time their child nagged them for a product. We asked them to record when, where, and why.
This study was not to help parents cope with nagging. It was to help corporations help children nag for their products more effectively.
They are tomorrow's adult consumers, so start talking with them now, build that relationship when they're younger, and you've got them as an adult. Somebody asked me, Lucy, is that ethical? You're essentially manipulating these children. Well, yeah, is it ethical? I don't know. But our role at Initiative is to move products. And if we know you move products with a certain creative execution, placed in a certain type of media vehicle, then we've done our job.
When you look at a corporation, just like when you look at a slave owner, you want to distinguish between the institution and the individual. So slavery, for example, or other forms of tyranny are inherently monstrous. But the individuals participating in them may be the nicest guys you can imagine. Benevolent, friendly, nice to their children, even nice to their slaves, caring about other people. I mean, as individuals, they may be anything. As in their institutional role, they're monsters because the institution's monstrous.
Over the past decade, we have been gaining ground. And when I say we, I mean ordinary people committed to the welfare of all of humanity, all people irrespective of gender and class and race and religion, all species on the planet. We have overturned nearly 99% of the basmati patent of rice tech. Again, because we worked as a worldwide coalition. Old women in Texas, scientists in India, activists sitting in Vancouver, Little Basmati Action Group. We stopped the third world being viewed as the pirate, and we showed the corporations were the pirate.
For Monsanto, this story really blew up in their face. What they wanted to do was to suppress a news story, and what happened is that the story got far more coverage than it ever would have had.
Take a look at this. Every fourth bite of food the American family eats represents milk.
Bovine growth hormone was the first genetically engineered product to be disseminated in a widespread manner through dairy products.
Dairy products. Nature's most nearly perfect food.
But the problem was that use of the artificial hormone caused all kinds of problems for the cows. Mastitis, which is a very painful infection of the udders. The pus from the infection ends up in the milk, and the bacteria count inside your milk goes up.
It was essential to keep it quiet about this story, and I think that's why they came down so hard on us.
Jane Akery, a former reporter here, sued Fox 13 in a whistleblower lawsuit, claiming she was fired for refusing to distort her report.
The basis of their appeal was that there is technically no law, rule, or regulation against distorting the news. Steve and I would both have to pay Fox's legal fees amounting to $1.7 million.
Pure, wholesome milk makes America strong by making her citizens strong.
When people realize that they are being manipulated,
Mommy, I love ice cream.
I think they're going to start to get angry. You shouldn't have to wage war before you go to the grocery store. Every time you see a little label there, no hormones. Okay, well, what's in this other milk? Citizens that believe passionately in a person's right to know, they're going to work around the clock.
This is our gene beast. It's a cross between a fish and a strawberry.
And that has got to terrify the corporate folks at the biotech industry. Knowledge is powerful. The corporation is going to be seen worldwide. It's an incredible way to pull together what's happening in our society right now.